The inspiration piece for this build was this one right here. I loved its tiny little details and all of those square panels it had. But as you can see, it was too thin to be a spaceship body, so I had to take care of that first. I began by sanding the bottom of the piece and a little bit of my fingertips, to be honest, and then I grabbed some 3mm styrene. My idea was to stack a couple of these styrene sheets to be able to make that piece a little bit thicker. So as you can see, I began by cutting the styrene on the size of the black ribbly, and to glue those pieces together I'm using this weld-on type of glue. I've been calling this a weld bond, which is wrong. This is basically a solvent that fuses the plastic together, and you should look for an alternative to that glue where you live. And then of course I used my mini disc sander to trim the excess of styrene, matching the shape of the black ribbly. I layered a total of 4 sheets of styrene, which made the piece 12mm or half an inch taller. And then I grabbed in my collection a couple of these Ethernet cable connectors, which I thought looked amazing, and decided to attach it to the back of the body. As always, of course, there are some features on the pieces that I don't really love. I begin by removing those, and then I attached the couple of pieces to the back of the body using regular CA glue. And then in my collection of gribbies I found this black gribby right here, which fitted perfectly on the bottom of the spaceship, so I decided to give it a go. Now, of course, I had to keep growing the body of the spaceship forward, and I had no idea on how to do it. So looking in my collection, I found this weird shape right here, kinda unexpected, and I decided to give it a go. Poking around a little bit more, I found this obvious shape right here, which I've been using on all my spaceship projects lately, and it went so well with the black gribby I just added, and so yeah, I was happy about it. But it was only when I found this shape right here that I had a full idea of what I was going to build for the front of the spaceship. Let me show you. As you can see, I glued the 2 black pieces with the angles pointing outwards of the spaceship. And this is so I can glue a couple of pieces of styrene on each side, making some cool looking wings for this protector ship. I rounded the front corners of each wing on my mini disc sander, and then I refined my shapes manually, stacking the pieces of styrene together. Now, attaching these 4 separate pieces of styrene together like aligned wasn't an easy task. Each of them wanted to go on its own way, but eventually I got there. This right here was the result. Okay, so now let's talk about the engine. Some of you guys might remember that I recently bought some LED candles with this cool flickering effect to use on my spaceship, and this was of course the case right here. So I went looking into my collection for a good looking nozzle for the engine array of this spaceship. And I found a couple that not only looked super cool but went very well together, like they were made for each other. I just had to remove some features from the first one using my mini disc sander and my Dremel tool, and then I basically removed the LED from the candle. I made a holder for the batteries, and yeah, this right here is the whole system. Of course, all of that got attached to the back of the spaceship, and I had my cool looking engine array ready to go. So then it was time to add some details all around the spaceship. From the beginning of the project, I knew that this was supposed to be like a protector ship for the merchant fleet. And so my thought is that the wings are actually like some shield casting device to protect the fleet. So I decided to attach a bunch of keycaps from some dead laptops to add some detail and make this look like it is some sort of defense device. The body of the spaceship had some holes that I decided to cover, and I also added some details here and there on each side. This spaceship is supposed to look powerful and menacing, and so yeah, I'm adding details with that in mind. Now, the detailing phase is super fun, but also very time consuming, so I didn't really film the process in great detail. It took me like a couple of hours to get to the final stage of the spaceship, but this one here is actually a great opportunity for me to invite you guys to support the channel. If you love what I do right here, please, I need your help. Check the links in the description box, and now let's get back to the video. After a couple of hours of work, I was happy with the level of detail I got going, and so I decided to apply the first coat of primer on the spaceship, and I was very happy with what I saw. I felt I had a nice balance of the level of detail all across the spaceship. I loved the tiny little details I got going on the body and also on the engine array, and the spaceship was finally ready for the painting process. Now, on the painting process of this project, I decided to actually try a different brand of paint that I have right here locally, one that I can afford and that was recommended to me. When I did some tests with it using a brush, everything went well, but when I tried at brushing it, things just didn't work. I don't know if you can see on the video, but there's a bit of a texture going on this sand color that I applied to the whole spaceship. And the weirdest thing to me is that some colors work very well, like the red is perfect, but the sand kind of gray that I used for the whole spaceship, yeah, it was a mess. I guess I'm still on the lookout for a good brand of paint that I can afford right here where I live. Right here on this close-up shot, you can really see the texture that I just told you guys. There's a bit of a grain going on this base color, but I figured the matte varnish would kind of take care of that and kind of blend everything together. As you can see, I've added some extra shades of gray on some parts of the spaceship, and then I jumped straight into the wash process, which is always a fun process. The wash process is when I get some thinned down acrylic paint and I apply it all across the model so it gets on the nooks and crannies and makes the details kind of pop. Of course, then I applied the final coat of matte varnish and started to put everything together. Now, here's something cool that I decided to show you guys. As you know, I'm making a immersion fleet, and my idea is that by the end of the series, I have a cool looking diorama, like a large base where all of the spaceships are kind of featured together. And so I decided to kind of test the layout. I grabbed this piece of plywood that I used to paint my models, and I tried kind of laying out like the spaceships to see what I had going. And let me tell you, when you see all of these spaceships together, kind of aligned, kind of flying together, it really makes a cool effect. But I actually wanted to hear your thoughts, guys. I'm planning on making at least a couple extra episodes on this Immersion Fleet series. The next one should be like an attack spaceship. We want to kind of kill the enemies if necessary, but I wanted to hear your ideas. So yeah, let me know in the comments what you think. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Share this with your friends, and as always, thanks for watching.